I didn't know was in there, and I'm like, oh no, I don't believe it.
Even some,
Poor man.
give me the sign of you.
Looking around.
We good? Oh, okay. I can't imagine that. This is one of the more exciting things to happen on Tuesday, the 28th. So. Today's your mom's birthday?
And we have.
We give we could do a shout out right here on camera.
I'm sure she's tuning in.
Oh, we haven't even called to order yet. So let's go ahead and we'll have call to order, start the meeting. First order of business is happy birthday to
Janice McAfee.
Janice McAfee and the gift that she gave us. Mike McAfee. So, and then after that, let's move on to the review of the minutes. And our last meeting was on August the 30th. Three members present, Mike, Kirby, and Jeff. I'll give it just a second to review that and see if you have any questions or corrections.
Nope. Move, we approve the August 30th, 2023 minutes.
Okay. Looks like we have a motion and a second. Marcia, would you move us to a roll call vote, please?
Campbell,
Yes.
Brown, McKim.
Yes.
All right, next item on the agenda is the financial summary. I'll go through the financial summary from October 31st and then just through the innkeeper's tax receipts. We'll start with the innkeeper's tax receipts. The most dramatic of which is the October collection of $501,762. So the first time that the innkeeper's tax has gone over $500,000 in any 1 month. Was greatly helped by an extra day of football in the Bloomington community. So we're excited about that, but you can see that gives us a trend. And if you look at the trend line from 2023, we anticipate going far above where we were in 2022, and certainly almost $1 million, probably more than what we were in 2019, which is the last full year before any COVID impact. So that's very encouraging to see that the collections rise like that. And that's reflected in our financial summary report. With that, we see a current fund balance year to date of $3,183,815.83, with, I believe, just a few more transfers for the month out of the general fund, and that's the amount in the general fund, but no expenditures. Well, a few small expenditures we may do today, and then several in the first quarter. And then our capital improvement fund sits at $202,728.59. I believe we have a claim on that today. And then our convention center debt fund currently is at $451,016.58. So we do have enough funds to do all claims that are put before us today. We'll get to those in a minute, but also as we're looking into it, a very healthy and a very robust fund line in the general fund as we move forward. So something to talk about later in the meeting. Any questions on the financials? Either in October, or if you've had a chance to look at September and August, those are pretty much the same, but happy to talk through those.
I'll move this. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Marcia, would you move us to a roll call vote, please?
Handle.
Yes.
Brown. McKim.
Yes.
Great. Next item on our agenda is Visit Bloomington. So tell us a little bit about what's going on.
Here's one for you. Thanks, Mike. The first item in there, I just have some sports stuff. I put in there, prospects and leads that we're working on for 24. You can see a lot of that. I'm not gonna go through those line by line. I will just say this, golf and the foul course is where it's at. And it is. It is, yep, we're talking to them. I mean, that's a massive event that is gonna take quite a bit of sponsorship dollars. We've actually been talking with Mike a little bit about that LPGA Epson thing. You know, that's a ways away from happening. And one thing that's not on here that just happened, that Pete just got a call on is, in 25 and 26, we are, Columbus, has been working with a group, it's called the Circle K, the gas Circle K golf tournament that's been held in Columbus. They're actually moving into Bloomington in 25 and 26 due to a conflict, and they just called us and asked about 24 as well. So we may end up getting that for 3 years, 24, 25, and 26. That's about 100 players. It happens in June. You know, and that's not fans and everybody that attends that as well. But golf is, you know, and the foul course has just turned into an incredible attraction and asset for us to have for this. So again, you can see all that stuff on there. A lot of that stuff is normal. You know, the Indiana State Basketball Championships, that's like the homeschool tournament that we host. Again, a big piece of business. This is, I think, year 4 of that out of a 10-year deal that we have with them, things like that. But I was telling Jeff earlier in conversations about you know, the great, exciting conversations about the turf fields at Karst. We've already got a call with Across America tomorrow about a future tournament for that would probably utilize those fields as well as the turf fields on IU's campus, which again have kind of opened up to us. You know, that they've got a change there where those are now available for us to use. You know, when all the stars align and the timing's just right and they're available and things like that. So again, a lot of that goes to Pete. You know, Pete Nelson, our sports development director, and his background in lacrosse and his relationship with Across America and things like that. So a lot of good stuff happening as always with sports. It's really the, you know, big backbone of the tourism industry here. He'll be attending the U.S. Sports Congress trade show next week. Hopefully bringing home a few more leads with that. But as you can see, there's a healthy list of events there. The foul was just named the 5th best, number 5 ranked college course in America. Just goes to show what I was talking about. I copied that into this. Page 2, some recent conference leads that Sean's been working on. Some of these probably Jean has on her list as well, but these are all ones that have come through since the last CBC meeting. Again, a lot of things going on with fraternal groups and things like that. Sean will be in Indianapolis next week. You know, he's really entrenched in Indiana Meeting Planners International, and of course the Indiana Society of Association Executives, and I'm working with them. He's on the board of that, and again, they're having their conference here next July, and then he's going to the RCMA, which is the Religious Conference Meeting Association, or Management Association. He'll be going to that trade show in January. So lots of good stuff happening there. Getting into leisure tourism next. Just in October, we had 20 media stories, either about Bloomington or mentioning us. I've put a few of them in here. A great one, they picked up, we did a blog on the 5 fire towers within, not all of them are right here in Monroe County. There's one in Brown County and there's one at McCormick's Creek. The other 3 are in Monroe County, but we just claim them anyway. But
They're close.
they did Forbes picked up our blog about that. We're working diligently on our 24 visitor guide. We have to send that off to the printer here in mid-December. There's 5 or 6 of us at the office that are creating the content for that as our designer lays it out. We launched a live performance grant program last week, which is for live music, comedy, theater events that happen on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday nights. We'll give grants for those. They can't be a Friday or Saturday performance. Again, trying to encourage weekday business. Similar to our, so we have 2 grant programs going now that are trying to create more tourism events. Jeff asked about Freeze Fest earlier. We have been meeting with the Mill and Cook is our other partner in producing that. That's happening January 19th and 20th. That's the Friday and Saturday in January. Again, we're into year 4 of that. Slowly but surely, we'll continue to increase that audience. Keep working on that. Big thing happening, as you know, is solar eclipse coming in April. Condé Nast just picked it up and ran a thing on one of the top places to plan a trip to in the path of totality. But it's very, very exciting and nerve-wracking at the same time, because we truly don't know whether to expect 50,000 people or 250,000 people. It just depends on who you're talking to. But if you're interested, you can go to Visit Bloomington's website. We've actually created an eclipse tab just for the eclipse, and you can click on that. But there's events happening. The university is supposed to announce what they're doing sometime in the next week or so. They said early December, so hopefully we have that information soon. But they are definitely doing a watch event in the stadium of some type. That will include some sort of entertainment after the 4-minute event is over, to try to keep people in the stands for a couple more hours. But
Like the Kentucky Derby.
right. The Monroe County Fairgrounds, it's called Shadow Fest. They were announcing all weekend long their musical lineup, so they're having music on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday of the eclipse. They're doing a great job. The person who's got that rented out for the eclipse. Switchyard Park will have an event watch. Paintown will have an event. Lake Lemon is having an event. I know Fowler Pumpkin Patch is having an event where you can camp there. So we've got a committee of about 40 or 50 stakeholders in the county that are working together on that. That includes health, IU Health, police, fire from both the county, city, and IU. All the people are involved. You may not have heard much about it so far, but we're working behind the scenes right now. We're having a meeting here at the convention center on December 12th, but early in 24, you'll start hearing a lot more about what's going on and what the plans are. But like we said, as so far, Visit Bloomington, we're not really planning on spending money advertising and marketing that so much as just making sure that it's a safe, quality experience for people, for the 100,000 people who are coming. We know that there still is quite a bit of lodging availability. Some hotels and stuff are sold out, but there is quite a bit available still. Rates are at a premium. I do think probably closer to the event, you might see those start falling a little bit if they're not filling up. But as I keep saying, from what I continue to learn is that the eclipse goer is very frugal. They're not afraid to pull over on the side of the road and sleep in their car as long as they get a good photo or that type of stuff. So learning a lot about that, but it's exciting. And the Bloomington Brew Fest was talking to us last week about having that on Saturday, April 6th. And we talked them out of that. They're actually having the Brew Fest on Saturday, April 13th, the following week instead, just to avoid, who knows what could happen. And they know they'll do well the following week. So those types of things. So that's stuff we're working on. Let's see. We are in the midst of a complete redesign of our website, visitbloomington.com. Was it 18? Was that the last time? 17 or 18 was the last redesign we did? Yeah. 16, see, the pro there. So we're in the midst of that. It'll be June. June is our targeted date for launching that. So we work with our web provider, SimpleView is helping us with that. That's everything. It'll have a complete new look and everything about it will be new. I've got a graph there showing the traffic on there from this year. And we're up just a little bit over last year. On the back page, some more stuff. We had just during the month of October, we had about 11,000 partner referrals through the website. Top subjects searched for were restaurants, the Kiwanis Balloon Festival, Halloween, general events, the Eclipse, fall festivals, romantic getaways, outdoors and music. The search locations coming from besides Bloomington, Columbus, and Nashville, Indiana, which are always in the top 10. We had Indianapolis, Chicago, Louisville, Evansville, Terre Haute, Fort Wayne, and Cincinnati, exactly what we want it to be. I have a couple more excerpts from some media articles that we had on there. And I did also put the October star on there and just talked when Mike talking about the innkeeper's tax generation. I'm always looking at that. You can see that if you look out there in the column, that's the average daily rate. You can see that's up $9 over last year. And then demand is actual room nights bought or consumed is up 16,000 room nights. So that'll show you, you do the math, that shows you a lot of what that increase in the innkeepers is. And short-term rentals are the same way. They're up about the same amount. And just like I said, anytime you just go on Airbnb and search for, just playing around, searching for rentals in the area, you can find anywhere from, if you search a couple weekdays in the middle of February, you might find 600 available listings. If you search right now for the Eclipse, you'll find less than 100. But if you search over the holidays, you'll find quite a few more. But if you're searching for, on weekends and same thing, if you're searching for big weekends, football games, there's not as many listings, but they're thriving just like the hotels are doing really well. So that's a quick report. Happy to answer any questions.
I have one question about the Foul golf course. So that is owned by Indiana University.
Yes.
And so do you have some kind of arrangement with IU for marketing it, or how does that work?
Yeah, well, we just marketed it as we would the convention center. Anything. It's just how can we go find events? And a lot of these events are ones where Pete Nelson, our sports development director, has got a relationship with the IU golf coach. He's got a relationship with the general manager of the Foul course. So it's constant communication with them about trying to get them to want to host outside events. I mean, they're busy just selling rounds to anybody who wants to come out there. So again, it's finding the timing of when they have availability and things like that. So it's just that type of stuff. And a lot of it is like the Circle K thing. They called us. We didn't know about that. They called us looking for a spot to have it. Wow. So the reputation of it is growing.
It's great.
But it is where they're charged, they know what they need to make. So they'll charge this group a certain amount to host it there. They know what they would make off of rounds at that time. So they've got to make that money up in order to do that because they're offsetting their regular customers and things like that.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Pretty cool. Any other questions for Visit Bloomington? Exciting stuff. Love it. Let's keep the ball rolling. Downtown Bloomington Inc. Take it away.
So if we're keeping the ball rolling on fun things,
Yes.
right? So Canopy of Lights, we lit the
Yeah,
lights.
I was there.
And Magical Glow, thank you for coming.
That's
It
great.
was a big crowd so it seems to be a popular event every year. A lot of different partners, IU and the city and the county and Downtown Bloomington Inc., Visit Bloomington helps promote, and I think all the folks that are participating on stage as well are committed. So they've been doing it for years. The brass band, I think it's going on 40 years now. Yeah. So anyway, so that's great. Shop downtown this summer or this season. They've got 30 days left to make their year. So it's really important. And then with the properties to the south here, their leases go to December 2024. We do have one building that needs a roof desperately. But we have turned it into insurance, so our fingers are crossed that the claim adjuster just got around to looking at it on Monday.
Is that
So
hail
we're
damage
waiting to hear, pardon me,
Hail damage? Or what?
or wind and, yeah. No interior damage yet, so that's good, but it's close, and so it needs to be replaced. So I was noticing this 187,000 that's been brought in the net rental income. If insurance doesn't cover it, we might have to use some of that. Well, I'm not sure how we access it once it's turned over, so if we get to that point, I'm gonna try and figure that out. You know, the tenants that are in those spaces though are anxious to know that they like a year's notice if at all possible. So whenever the capital improvement work gets going with the architect, hopefully we can get a time frame on that, because they need to find another location or not, with so much. So we'll monitor that closely. And then update on the ARPA funding. The county has hired a engineering firm to do the specs and do the bids on the chiller and the freight elevator. But those things are 6 to 9 months out of getting them in, so it'll probably be next July. So the big question is, do we replace it before ISA gets here, during, or after? But it's probably gonna be in some stage, and plus, you never know if it's gonna go out either, so kind of monitoring that, but I think that's the biggest thing right now is the next 2 years, how to plan and implement things. So once we hit January 2024, more and more folks are gonna say, can I rebook for 2025? So we're hoping that the architects will be able to give us some kind of time frame. It's a year of design, year and a half of construction. At which point do they start kind of tying into this building? There's a host hotel involved and how all that connects. So I think so monitoring that closely. I don't know what else to
Yeah.
say other than not like jump too far ahead on it. And but we've had really solid business the last year. Jean's got a report on if you want to do your sales report. Mhm.
Well, sales are up, attendance is up, number of events is up. Yeah, it's just really encouraging all overall. Average dollars per event is up about 1,400 from 2019, because I look back then, in my own mind, I'm comparing everything like. And right now we're running total dollars in sales year to date. We're running about $50,000 less than 2019 right now. So that will probably make that up in December. The most exciting thing on this really is the 2024 conferences that are booked, and I do have a little bit of overlap with Sean's report here, and I saw that he had included some 2025 proposals in on as well. 3 new ones here. IU Women in Business, big group just for one day. Knights of Columbus, that's a good sized group for 3 days. The IU conference is the Early Intervention for Early Childhood Conference. This one's been with us for a couple of years now, although the big theme of it changes. It's the same or similar target audience every year, but it's a big conference and you're here for a couple of days, and it's I feel like we're doing what we do best when we have that size group in here and it's that busy for 2 days in a row, and they use multiple hotels and do offsite things, and it's great having them here. International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers, the Midwest was a new one, decent sized group for 3 days, brand new. ISAE will be here in July for the first time since 2013. Then we have the opioid summit. I don't think that one's final yet, but I think that it probably will be, but that's another full capacity at 600. Environmental Health Association, IMA has been with us for a couple of years now. And then solid waste management and community mental health centers, and I think those were on Sean's report also, so. It looks like 2024 is gonna be. As well. I did look through lost sales or just sales that I've turned away year to date so far, and out of the 86 total turned away, there were a couple that I thought were worth mentioning. Most of them, but not all of them, were statewide groups, the Indiana Association. There's a Vector Solutions Conference that's been here with us a couple of times before, which is a pest control conference. H&H Pop Fest was a 3-day pop culture cosplay event. Really interesting to look at their info online. Indiana Utility Regulatory Commission Pipeline Safety Division. Leading Age Indiana, which is they manage resources for nonprofits that work with aging adults. That was 300 people for 2 days. I was sorry to lose that one. The Chin Youth Organization of North America. This is a 1-day event, but it's for 1,500 because it's North American. And this is an organization that serves the Chin youth population in North America. Chin being an ethnic group of Myanmar, is here in the US. Indiana Now, which is the National Organization of Women, their statewide conference, overlaps something else that we already had booked. And then we had a third-party planner contact me about a conference for 600 for 1 day, but I did not name the group. Whatever the date was, it's already taken.
Were these lost for size or date, or is that what, did you say?
Mostly
Didn't
because
catch
we have
that.
already booked
Yeah,
in the size. These were all of a size where we would be on second floor rooms and they were just booked. Except for the 1,500, of course, which we would not be able to accommodate at all. That group has an office. I don't know if it's their national headquarters or a regional office, but there is a Chin organizational office in Indianapolis, so hopefully they found it somewhere. But that was actually also, I think that was a summer event, so maybe they'll be outside somewhere.
it's interesting. We have 3 interns who are now out in the working field, and they work for third-party planners and are bringing business here. Is that not the
That's the
funniest
way it's
thing?
supposed to work,
I
isn't
know.
it?
Yes, like all these people that you go and network, and
Yeah.
they come up like, hi, and they're 10 years older, and so that's been fun to
So it's-
sell silks.
What are
and-
the,
I look
Yeah.
exactly the same. I don't know.
Yeah.
what are the dates of the,
So it's the value of
machinist
that
and
IU
aerospace
connection,
workers?
right?
June, do you know?
I cannot remember specific dates.
I'll ask you. I'll email you and ask you.
Just curious.
I've got their paperwork on my desk. They had asked for all the paperwork that goes with this, and have revised it a couple of times, sent it to Taylor based on their event flow. Typically, when somebody comes in, if they haven't contacted Visit Bloomington yet, they'll come to, if they come to me first, if they're gonna have questions about where else they might be able to stay, how do I get in touch with the hotels, all these other things, that I typically send them a follow-up email after their visit that has every single thing they would need to know in one document, so they can keep it. And send it to somebody else if they've got subcommittees of people handling different things. And the first thing I do is connect them with Sean, and then also typically the hotel next door, but what I do is try to encourage them to let him get that worked out so that we all are in the same loop. And then Visit Bloomington for other outside event planning, tours and things like that.
What does your booking window look like? You said once we get to January 2024, some people will start looking at 25.
More and more, I mean, I think there's some in 25, but
I've got about 160 events booked for 2024 right now.
But are you seeing, for the size of group that we're able to accommodate here, is it 12 months out is kind of the sweet spot where you're able to book, or is it more 18 to 24 months out is where you're handling the bids for it?
For groups that are in that 200 range, 150, I'll say 150 to 300 a year. Especially if they want, now, if they're kind of in slower months, but most of them aren't. Most of them are in April and May and September, October. Boy, those are looking tight already for
Mhm.
2024. But lately, I mean, it's been the case this whole year that people are calling and wanting things in a much closer window than we've seen in the past. Even things like holiday parties that people used to book. You know, they finish one year and book the next. Now they're like, oh, we're not really sure. We're gonna look at some other places. And then I get that call like a month out for January for something. I'm booked for a year. So sorry. Try these places.
Or have it on a Wednesday night.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I've shifted people into Thursdays where they've been able to ease off a Friday or whatever, go one night earlier. Maybe Thursday's the new Friday. That's been it that way. Having conferences also start something like if their Monday would have been their move-in and setup day, if we can shift that into a Sunday and they've got a certain group and then their conference starts actually on Monday, just being here on that Sunday to get going can save them money and time and other things, so. Yeah,
How many did you say the chin group was?
1,500,
1,500.
but it's a national, that's their national conference.
But we couldn't even really handle half that. Could we?
Anywhere in town that I'm aware of, it's inside.
It's interesting, National Guard has an event this Saturday. And, there was a different National Guard, like 4 different people, like a third-party planner called, 3 people with the other National Guard that had like a yellow ribbon send-off, 1,800 people. And, we must have said, you're already booked with
And
a
they must
different
have
National
put it-
Guard.
They must have put out a national APB to every third-party planner out there. I had so many calls from different parts of the US. I mean, different parts,
Yeah,
states
strange.
all over the place for
And-
this.
Governmental,
Here.
it was,
Did you get like that?
about 4 different, yeah.
Wow.
And they
that's the
would start
strangest thing.
in, and I would say, if this is about this, unfortunately, I don't have the space for it, so that was really, I mean, I thought, oh, God, somebody's getting deployed. In December or January. Ugh.
Yeah.
I don't know where they ended up going though. It just got more and more bizarre. People from further.
Same job.
Any other questions for Felicia or Jean?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably worth mentioning the capital improvement board now has 7 people, or I didn't know if you wanted to talk about that or not. The interlocal agreement is working its way through. The architect, if anybody wants to attend that, December 13th at 9 o'clock here, the architect will give an update on where they left off last time. And meet the capital improvement board that they're, charged with like getting things going and doing the design and handling the construction. So that'll be an interesting meeting. So they're recorded. If people want to attend by Zoom, you can as well.
It's exciting stuff.
Yeah,
We've talked
all
about
that.
this for a long time. It's good to see
Yeah,
forward progress.
yeah,
Kind of pumped about it.
yeah.
We'll see.
It's really exciting to go to the meetings and all anybody's talking about is what the next step is to move forward.
Yeah,
There's no debating
That
what's
wasn't the
going
way
on.
it used to be, so I'm excited to see it and there's still things to work out. But encouraged about the progress and encouraged about the future. I'm excited. Personally.
yeah.
All right. Anybody, should we spend some money?
That's good.
Claims approval,
Approved.
huh?
I think the money's already. been
Approved to
spent.
talk
We're just
about it? All
paying
right,
the
good.
bills.
Good. All right, let's jump into our packet of claims that are before us today. It looks like we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 claims before us today. I have the very first one is the first quarter 2024 operational funds for Visit Bloomington. This is in the budgeted and approved amounts for next year of $492,313. So any questions or comments?
Move
On
we
the claim.
approve the claim.
Okay, we have a motion in a second. Marcia, could you move us to a roll call vote, please?
Campbell,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes, ma'am.
McKim.
Yes.
All right, the next claim is before us today is the fourth quarter professional fees for this body for Marcia Roach in the amount of $147.50. So questions or comments on the claim?
Move we approve.
Second.
A motion in a second. Marcia, would you move us to a roll call vote?
Campbell,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes, ma'am.
McKim.
Yes.
All right, next claim is before us is for first quarter 2024 operating expenses for Downtown Bloomington, Inc. for the convention service management of this facility in the 2024 budgeted amount of $100,256.25. Any questions or comments on the claim?
Move we approve.
Second.
Motion in a second. Marcia, would you move us to a roll call vote, please?
Campbell,
Yes.
Brown?
Yes, ma'am.
McKim.
Yes.
Trying to throw me off.
Yes, doing that. Could I give you one more page? You may have given you one too many pages.
Oh, is that the next one?
That's the next claim. Did I give you an extra claim?
Yes, yeah, that's
Yep.
the next one.
Okay. I was like, I've got the backup, but not the,
Getting very efficient, Mike.
I was moving paper. Gotta push the paper. Speaking of paper, room rental incentives, this would come out of the general fund, this would be out of commissioner's expense. And this is an incentive fund that we provide to the convention center to help with the recruitment of events into this space, help offset or to reduce the costs, make it attractive for them to come here. And the amount on this is $3,743, which covers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 groups between September and November.
What is the Indiana Clay Conference?
Fine Arts Ceramics.
Oh, I think we actually play.
This is the second one they've ever had. I think the first one was in Fort Wayne and they work with Purdue as well.
Oh, did they have like a tent outside there or something? Somebody had some kind of a.
The football team had a.
Oh,
an
yeah, that's
outside
right. Oh, that was
because
nice.
we had
Yeah.
the
It was the
artists
same weekend, okay.
guild inside.
Okay.
But it was a pottery group, but this was a conference. It's kind of fun watching the two groups, like all the different groups mixed together and just kind of look at each other.
Any other questions or
I moved it.
Second.
motion and a second? Marcia, would you move us to a roll call? vote?
Campbell,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes, ma'am.
McKim.
Yes.
All right. Drum roll, the last claim before us today is for the loan payment. It actually says Dud,
It does say.
I'm sorry.
Dud, January 1st.
Somebody
Maybe
hit the
do.
wrong.
Maybe due January 1st, but I do appreciate the Dud.
Payments or no?
I will say they are calling and saying, hey, we're hearing there's an expansion and so there's that, Bill Harris is his name, if you ever get that call.
Okay,
from
Great.
Regions.
yeah, that's true. There's an extension. So the loan payment for is due on January 1st is for $159,000. This is our standard quarterly claim. Any questions or comments on the call?
Move we approve payment of our debt.
Motion in a second. Marcia, would you move us to a roll call? please?
Campbell.
Yes.
Brown,
Yes, ma'am.
McKim.
Yes.
All right, I believe that's all the claims that are before us today. In our normal claims process. The next item on our agenda is a resolution to transfer funds approval. Which. Is that it? And this is one as we go into 2024. Allocating, out of the general fund, we allocate to both the capital improvement fund in the amount of $50,000 annually. We're proposing, and then $516,000 or $43,000 a month to cover the largest portion of the debt on the current loan. So that's what we've done for the last couple of years. We are proposing to do the same, and we would need to take this as a recommendation and vote on that in order to allocate in those amounts. Questions or concerns on the resolution to transfer funds between the general fund and the two funds that we've outlined?
Move we approve the resolution.
I will second.
A motion and a second. Marcia, would you move us to a roll call vote, please?
Campbell,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes, ma'am.
McKim.
Yes.
Right. Next item on the agenda is discussion on the Karst Park soccer fields. And so I know, Jeff, you worked with some other organizations on that. Maybe you can lead us off there on that discussion and what that might mean for our group here.
So, first of all, I'm reminded that, this plan actually includes sports other than just soccer, so. I'll start calling it the Karst athletic fields, upgrades, because it sounds like we already have a lead on a possible, lacrosse tournament, so. But the plan is to, I wish I had actually made printouts, but I can kind of show you the diagram of the plan here. And essentially what this plan would include is artificial turf on 2 fields. And LED lighting on those 2 artificial turf fields. New LED lighting on one of the existing grass fields. And then new irrigation drainage and retrofitting the lighting to LED on 2 grass fields. So at the end of the day, we would essentially have 3 usable grass fields, although my understanding is that the grass fields after the drainage and irrigation need a season to rest. So they couldn't be used right away, but ultimately when everything's done, we'll have 3 usable grass fields and 2 usable artificial turf fields. Plus there are 2 additional fields that are left for potential future artificial turf conversion if additional funds become available. So, all these fields would be usable at night. The artificial turf fields can basically be used, regardless of the weather. they can be used the moment they're finished. They'll be usable, and because of the LED lighting, they can be used into the night. The total cost is estimated of the whole project is estimated at $5,372,605. And so far, the county council and the commissioners have appropriated about $1.2 million in a general obligation bond to support this project. Last night, the commissioners and the county council came to a consensus that we would support the project out of ARPA funds in the amount of $3.75 million. The county council will vote on appropriating that money tonight. And assuming that happens, then the county commissioners would add it to the project to the ARPA plan at their meeting tomorrow. So there's sort of a to spend money out of ARPA, both the county council and commissioners have to agree. And what we're requesting here is that $500,000 be come out of the innkeeper's tax, that the CBC support the project in the amount of $500,000, which would essentially bring us to about $5.45 million in revenue, just slightly above the project cost, but we're going to assume there's going to be some increases since the estimates were done. So I am hoping that this group will support $500,000 commitment to the project. Once that happens, we can move forward.
Okay. Just from a standpoint of understanding where we are financially, we did just allocate about $600,000 to our operational and our obligations for through the first quarter. And that takes us through the first quarter. So essentially 4 months away. And in that time, if we collected innkeeper's tax as we did in the last 2 months last year, that would be about $590,000 that came in November and December. So it would be almost at the amount that we are right now in our current general fund. It would be a good estimate. We're at $3,183,815. So I would anticipate at the end of the year, the rollover, that balance, that current general fund balance would still be roughly $3 million. And so could support an expenditure of this size coming out of the general fund. Certainly have to go back before city council for an additional appropriation, and we can certainly do that. That's what it said. What did I say? That screwed up there.
That's okay.
I'm just seeing people were paying attention. County council, we would go back before county council for an additional appropriation amount. But at $3 million, I think I personally could see financially, we could support contribution in that amount of $500,000. I don't see a reason. Certainly it supports the mission. Mike, maybe you could talk a little bit about some of the events or how that might help us from the standpoint of continuing to generate tourism in the area, not just with the convention center and not just downtown, but throughout the whole community and how it benefits everybody.
Yeah, we've it'll give us opportunities to compete for some of the turf field athletic events that happen in Evansville and Grand Park already. Lots of those events are, they look for different places to play. They rotate around a little bit. So just having the ability, but they insist on, it isn't even so much the quality of the grass, it's the ability to know that you're going to be able to play no matter what the weather does is a big part of it. So that weather deal of having those two fields that are of championship caliber makes a big difference. So it'll just help us have the ability to be able to bid on those things and be considered as a big part of that. And then the rest of Bloomington and the county will help us sell the rest of it, which is great. And also, it'll also help us be able to work with the cutters and expand some of the events that they're already doing you know, like we talked about, there's a lot of local participation in that, but if we can work with them to expand those events and invite more visiting teams is a big thing, as well as getting into other types of sports and that type of stuff. And combining those fields with the fields at Indiana University and to get bigger types of events and go for those in the off seasons and things like that. So.
This diversifies our draw.
Exactly.
Yes.
It enhances the image. I think
Yeah.
I was showing
Yeah.
Jeff, my nieces 7 years ago who are in the soccer world and play on those Evansville. We're pretty surprised that this is what we had here. So they'll be excited.
Right.
Yeah, but Mike's
About that.
exactly right. You don't have the predictability with our weather around here. You know, it's really hard to do a tournament if you have no idea if the fields are gonna be rained out.
And when you got 60 teams traveling, you're just not gonna take that chance of, them.
Right. Let's
Do
go
we
to
know
the next place.
the cost difference of just doing the 4 fields? What is the turf of the,
It's about it's over $4 million. So
that's turf itself,
that's the
that's
turf.
not turf and lighting, that's.
oh, that is turf and lighting, but most of that is turf. Well, so for example, new LED lighting on field 8 is $200,000. So it's, yeah, it's like 3.9 million. Yeah, turf is not cheap.
Okay.
Um,
And does 2 put us on par with what we're trying to compete with?
my understanding is that's, the 4 would be better, that 2 is a good start and we can get some tournaments, but that's, that's why we don't want to hold these other 2 fields in reserve.
I'm just curious, I'm
Jeez.
curious, and I don't want to add wheels to the cart by any stretch of imagination, but if they were able to do labor wise for all at the same time, would that cost per field come down? Would that make sense? Cause what we're wanting to do. And I don't know if it would, how much it would add. Would it add an additional I guess sometimes would it add additional 4 million, or would it add 2 million, or?
So as I understood it, Jeff, is that they were gonna do the prep work for those 2 expansion fields
Part of this.
Yes,
as part of this, so that when you came back the next time, you wouldn't have to do it from scratch
So
like
it's
you're
just
doing.
laying-
So they're doing some infrastructure to the ground, getting some of the electric to it as well as some of the other, getting it prepped.
So I guess
For
that just
future
adds my
expansion.
question, how much the turf itself being
Yeah.
added to it?
It's-
They're doing some of that on
Right.
the other 2 fields already.
it's still going to be in the multiples of millions, probably more than $1 million. And we just don't have, I mean, we were, as you can see, we're already expending quite a bit of ARPA money, of our remaining ARPA money. And the general obligation bond money. And just to give you a sense of the typical county general obligation bonds are about $3 million. So $3.1 million. So, and that's for all county capital expenditures in a year. So, I see where you're going, and it would be nice to do 4, but I think we're already.
That's fair.
To be able
So
to do this.
what about this? And not saying that, the process gets in the way of the process, but it does typically. So we're gonna have 2 fields that potentially, if money, comes available, it's what we need. Is there any way to maybe they're doing the groundwork. The new turf needs to be, a target of 2 years. Or a target of a year to finish those other 2. Do this. But almost have a caveat of, we're not just gonna forget those other 2 fields, because that's what's needed for this to actually pay off the investment. Because you can spend the money, but we've seen it, we have a wonderful convention center that's too small, but too big, depending on what you're trying to do. So you just don't wanna do this and underdo it. So you spend a good amount of money, we invested, but you underdid it. And I understand we can't do it all right now, but is there any way to layer in almost quid pro quo, if you will? We'll do this, but
Yeah.
2 more turf fields need to be finished by such and such time, or
Right.
funding needs to be found, or fundraising, or whatever.
I would love to see that be a dream and a plan, but I'm not sure we would want to hinge our support on it on a future, if the future wasn't done. I will say, I'm from the soccer world too, right? Everybody has a kid who's played at Karst, if you've been here at any point in time. And I remember 2 years ago, the Bloomington North Soccer fundraiser, which they used the Hoosier Cup for to fund their program, was canceled due to weather.
Hmm.
Let me take that back. It was canceled due to the threat of weather
Right.
on the second
You
day.
can't guarantee it, right?
And so all of those teams that were staying overnight drove back. And so the economic impact to our community is not just the money generated from the fields, but it's the money that's generated in the community for those teams, those participants, those events that Mike's talking about being here in the community. And I think there's certainly things we can do, and I would, certainly, I don't think my support doesn't hinge on this, but sometimes bids come in better than you think. And if that's the case, do we have bidded alternates? Which is what I've typically done when I've done capital improvements, is this is what I need. But I would also like you to bid this part of it separate and this part of it separate. And so maybe that's something that could be done, and say, what would it take to seed it with grass and let it play for 2 years? Or what would it take to embed that separate in addition to your base bid? But I don't know how that work goes in the world of public.
Well, I mean, we can
Projects,
definitely
but-
share this
Yeah.
conversation with Kelly Whitmer, who's the director
Yeah.
of
Yeah,
Parks and Rec, and has been managing this project. So, I mean, I think those are,
Yeah.
those are real good points. I personally, I think this is a good balance of, mostly local funding, but with some tourist,
Right.
funding to indicate that, because it is a mixture. It is primarily a quality of life project that's gonna benefit local kids.
Yes.
It's our kids that play on the soccer fields, but it will also drive some room nights, and
Mhm.
we hope to increase the amount of room nights that it drives. So I kind of like the balance. That's sort of why I feel like $500,000 plus it matches the revenues coming in as well, that you just pointed out. So
Yeah.
we wind up almost balance neutral.
I was pleased last night. I think it was Commissioner Gibbons that was the one who brought up the other two fields first. So they're very aware. I think the commissioners are very aware of two more fields in the future.
Yeah, we definitely
Yeah.
want to look at it.
I just don't want it to get stuck out there. And I definitely, like I said, that's what I meant by I don't want to add
Yeah.
more wheels to the cart. I don't want to blow up the timing. If you got the ball rolling, God forbid we put it through another cycle of bureaucracy. Next thing you know, it's 10 years we're still working on it. I don't want that. If it's
Yeah.
going, let's go. I get it. But if it's only, I say only, it's a funny word, it's only $2 million more instead of $4 million more dollars. I mean, personally, $500,000, I'm fine with. I'm fine with dipping in and not having a net neutral after what we take in. If it would, and I believe we would be able to pull some stuff from Westfield, because people are sick of going up there. It's a pain in the butt to drive around up there,
Yeah.
and working across Indiana, I've worked in Muncie next to the convention center. I've worked in Indianapolis. I've worked in Fishers. I've dealt with the Grand Park folks. I've dealt with the Muncie, but all those. People want to come to Bloomington. If you're in Indiana, this is where you want to be. You just do. It's prettier here. It's our benefit. So if we have what we need so they can function, and if 4 guarantees, what's the difference in cost? But again, if the ball's rolling, by all, I'm not putting a block in front of it by any stretch.
Well, I will raise this question tonight's county council meeting, when we hopefully appropriate the $3.75 million from ARPA. I will raise that. I will say that we are hoping to get the ball rolling really quickly so that this can be done next year, done
Right.
in time for fall play next year. I think Kelly will go ahead and get bids, pretty much immediately after the county council appropriates the.
That would just be my only thing. I mean, what I don't want is, I don't want to have a surplus and then people go, well, we have extra, do we get to give it back? Right? I think there's more to Kirby's point. I think there's more development that could be done, both with traffic management, with facility support in that area, bathrooms, more stands for crying out loud, and things of that nature that could be added to this. And so if there were alternates in addition to the base bid, I think it would give you an opportunity to say, well, maybe we can do that too. Right? And it sounds like on your left there, you may have another supporter for maybe some continued investment from
Absolutely.
the tourist communities.
Absolutely. Because this project here, in my mind, helps the 69 corridor hotels tremendous. Tremendous.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Be benefiting.
This is their base business.
Right, and
Not-
restaurants opening up
Yes,
and
all that.
shopping and all that stuff right there. Absolutely right. So that being the case, I guess the recommendation would be, do we want to, pass a motion to go before the county council, for an additional appropriation, out of our innkeeper's general fund in the amount of $500,000 to support this project?
Can we, or is it beneficial to word it in a way of, we would like to throw that out there as a minimum of pending additional information? If it were to make sense, I just want to know, the pocketbook's not shut at 500, so that's all you've got. If he comes back with, it makes financial sense to go ahead and spend it, because that's the other thing, when you're thinking about spending money, you're spending money. But if you're going to re-spend money, because now they have to come back and there's all
Yeah.
those costs involved, they're already here. Does it make sense to go ahead and do it? I would say we're willing to do at least.
Yeah, I would say
$500,000.
we do have another $150,000 allocated in commissioner expense out of the general fund for 2024 for projects that support tourism. And so that's certainly something, if there was something brought before that would support that, and the funds were there, then I think there's already a mechanism to do that. I don't know that I would put it in the resolution to say, we'll write you this check and then just come see us a little bit more for more money.
Fair.
I do think it's also important for us to be good stewards and know that with the convention center expansion, and I feel comfortable with this amount, in addition to being able to look at increased revenue or increased expenditure dollars needed for the support of an expanded convention center as well too. There's going to be more cost associated with that. So I think that's, and certainly in the startup. So I think we need to be cognizant of that as well too. So, but I agree with you. I think it's a great project. I'm excited about it. And I make a motion by way of proposing this on the agenda to say we would move forward with a request towards the county council.
I'll second that.
Any other questions or comments?
I think this is a really exciting community project. I mean, it's been
Yeah.
just kind of low level talked about for
Yeah,
years.
for years and years, right?
And I think there are a lot of people that didn't think it would actually happen. So just like
I
the
think-
convention centers
I
we
think
talked
it's,
about.
I think there's some great momentum. Marcia, would you bring us to a roll call vote in? We have a motion in a second.
Campbell,
Yes,
Brown,
Yes, ma'am.
McKim.
Yes.
all right. Well, that sounds great. Thanks for all your work, Jeff, working with your partners and other bodies and the work that they've done to help with increase in tourism in Monroe County.
Kelly Whitmer from Parks and Rec
Yeah.
has really done the legwork on this. He's been
That's
a
terrific.
dogged supporter of this project for a long time.
All right. Next thing on our agenda is any new business. Well, I do have an announcement. 2 days from now, light up the night. The candles being lit on campus. On the side of the Indiana Memorial Union, there will be a winter market out there with several vendors, ice skating, hot chocolate. And hopefully full power this year. Last year, the power went out. So thank goodness for gas generators, but we're anticipating full power this year. So But, it's fun to be in this season.
And I don't know if this, this is kind of
Mhm.
not fun after that, but I don't know if this is a good place to bring it up. But we do have another HVAC unit in the kitchen dock area. It's $9,700 to fix it, 16,000 to replace it, and it's cold. But it'll take a couple months to get it in. These others that we're replacing now took that long to
Mhm.
get in. So I don't know if you want to talk about this for next quarter or not, or bring it next quarter. We can talk about it later, but I just kind of wanted to bring it up that we're gonna have to,
Yeah,
like, as we kind of go through the next year and the next year, we know,
Yeah.
things that we don't want to replace, things that we have to, if we're gonna keep operating. And I know that's like a whole other window.
well, but I think
so-
conditioned air in this envelope, that's certainly a need, so. I think that's certainly something, if you can get a final amount on that, I think it fits within, you're gonna have to do it anyway.
Yeah,
I think that's something that the body can consider.
okay, and so for the next quarter. So, I mean, we will probably get it ordered. And then we'd have to pay for it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
at times we have to do it, it's an emergency. If it's gone out, that's an emergency.
Yeah,
And so absolutely, I think that makes sense.
okay.
Yep.
Just that, I'm being kind of frugal on what we do and don't do, but there are gonna be some things that we have. to
Yeah, you
do,
gotta
so.
do that.
They can wear mittens when they're cutting the.
Well, Jean's over there in a sweater.
Don't say that.
So.
All right. Any other new business? Hopefully that's not broken. Okay, any other old business? Any things we need to feed on again and again? All right, guess what? Public comments. Any public comment? No? In that case, I think our meeting is adjourned.
I said,
Thank you very much.
I'm sure my mom would say something.
Thank you all.
That's right.
for the
Gotta
meeting.
get
For
this
the
house
full-
or- Yeah.
The athletic.
We
field,
we can do
yeah.
full.
Athletic.
That's athletic, field, sorry.
Yeah.
Right.
I screwed up too. We all screw up when we say stuff.
side of it, 'cause you're doing so much with it.